Any big construction project, it's this huge, high-stakes race against time and money. And honestly, keeping these massive, super complex operations from going off the rails is one of the toughest challenges in the entire industry. So let's get into why this is such a constant headache.
I mean, it's the question that probably keeps you up at night if you're a project owner or a GC. Because the hard truth is, no matter how well we plan, delays and cost overruns just feel inevitable. But why? What is going on here?
And the scale of this problem, it's just staggering. When you look at data from projects all over the world, the average time overrun is almost 30%. Think about that. A project you plan to take 10 months? Yeah, that could easily stretch out to 13. That's a huge deal.
And look, this isn't just some small hiccup. We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar problem. And it's not because people aren't working hard enough. The real issue, the root of it all, is in the very tools we've been relying on to plan for more than half a century.
All right, so let's dig into the industry's go-to blueprint for planning, the Critical Path Method, or CPM. It's the system that basically built the modern world we live in, but it's also a system that's got some pretty serious flaws.
Okay, so this thing was developed way back in the 50s. The whole idea is to find the longest string of tasks that have to happen one after the other. That's your critical path. Any little delay to anything on that path, and your whole project completion date gets pushed back. For decades, this has been the absolute bedrock of project scheduling. And you gotta understand, this isn't just some guideline somebody came up with. CPM is literally baked into the industry. It's what's written into the contracts, it's what's used in court for legal claims, and it's the common language that everyone, owners, contractors, subs, has agreed to use. It's the standard. But, and this is a big but, here's the catch. Even years and years ago, people were pointing out a major weakness. The construction industry has just been incredibly slow to move on from these old-school methods, even while the projects themselves are getting exponentially more complicated. Yeah, this quote it hits the nail on the head, right? It says the very tool that's supposed to help us manage risk has actually become a source of risk. And why is that? Well, it's pretty simple. A static CPM schedule, the one you make at the very beginning of a project, just can't keep up with the chaotic, unpredictable reality of an actual job site. Okay, but this is where the entire game changes. We're finally shifting away from those rigid, static plans and moving into a totally new era. An era of dynamic, living intelligence, and it's all powered by AI.
So think about it. Instead of making just one plan and crossing your fingers, AI platforms can run millions of different simulations of how to build your project. They crunch massive amounts of data to see problems coming before they even happen. They can automatically balance your resources, and here's the kicker. They adapt on the fly, in real time, when things inevitably go wrong.
There's this analogy from one of the sources that I just love. It perfectly captures just how big of a leap this is. You're still working within the same basic idea of a project schedule, that's your F-150, but now you're strapping an F-16 jet engine to it. That's the power we're talking about.
So to really get what's going on here, we have to look at the core question each of these approaches is trying to answer, because they're playing totally different games, leading to two very different futures for your project.
See, the old way of analyzing risk, it's all based on opinion. You get a bunch of experts in a room and you ask, what do you guys think could happen? You're exploring what's plausible. AI completely flips that. It looks at hundreds of thousands of real past projects and asks, based on what the data shows has actually happened before, what is likely to happen on this project? That's a seismic shift, right? From educated guesswork to data-driven fact.
And this is where the rubber meets the road. I mean, look at these numbers. This isn't just talk, right? These are hard, measurable results. We're seeing project durations cut by 17%. We're seeing double-digit savings on labor and equipment. And maybe the most amazing stat of all, a 91.4% accuracy in predicting how long tasks will take. This isn't just about better planning. This is just flat-out better business.
Now hold on, this doesn't mean we just throw the old playbook in the trash. Not at all. The smartest teams are figuring out that it's not a choice between CPM or AI. The real future is in creating this powerful hybrid system that takes the best of both worlds.
And this next analogy just nails it. A construction project is like a symphony. The CPM schedule, that's the conductor's full score. It's the master plan, the long-range strategy that keeps everything together and satisfies all the contracts. But the day-to-day stuff, the actual sheet music that the crews on site are playing from, that's managed dynamically with tools like AI.
Okay, so what does this actually look like in practice? Well, it's a pretty straightforward workflow. First, you build your master plan in CPM. That sets your big picture strategy and all your contractual dates. Then, your teams in the field use AI to plan their work in short-term bursts, adapting to whatever the site throws at them. But the most crucial part is step 3. That real-time data from the field is constantly flowing back, updating and fine-tuning the master schedule. It turns it from a static document into a living, breathing plan.
And that really brings us to the final, critical question you have to ask yourself. In a world where everything is changing by the minute, is your schedule just a static blueprint that's basically useless the second it's printed? Or is it a living plan, one that's smart, adaptive, and actually connected to reality? Look, the reality is the job site is constantly changing. The days of trying to manage these incredibly complex, multi-million-dollar projects with static tools that just can't keep up, those days are over. The risk is just way too high.
Isn't it time to get past all that? To get rid of the messy spreadsheets and those chaotic WhatsApp groups where critical information gets lost? It's time to truly digitize your workflow with a platform that's actually built for how construction works today, like Lementai.com.
And the best part? You can actually see for yourself how it can change your projects. You can start for free today.
This explainer was brought to you by Lementai.